Okay, there we go. There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, got it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin, in my series, my New Year series, where I just want to impart words of wisdom from people from different backgrounds, from women that I trust, people, women that are authentic, women who I know who walked their journey and who have so much to offer that can help and support all of us as we move into 2024. So today, I'd like to introduce my two guests. My first guest up there is Katie Rose, an incredible person. She's a singer, she's a composer, she's a writer, and so many other things. And she teaches how to find your voice. So she's going to explain a little bit more later about what she does. And then below, we have the incredible Deborah Hayter. I have a huge fondness for both these women, and I spent time with Deborah last year in LA, and she is an incredible woman. Not only does she do incredible work, but she is who she says, and they are both who they say on the label. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us. It's amazing to be here with you.
Thank you. Deborah, can we hear you? Are you there?
I am here, Esther, and I just see so many great things happening for you in 2024. You're just bringing all your energy from 2023 into 2024, and we are excited to have you on board with such beautiful, positive energy.
Fantastic, fantastic. And we might not be able to see you clearly, but you are definitely there. And ladies and gents, I would suggest that you go on to both their Facebook pages to find out more about what they do. So this segment really is to, hear words of wisdom from yourselves as we enter 2024. Because so much is happening and people are really feeling the shift and pull as we come into this, not only new year, I call it a new era. And so I'm going to hand it over to you first, Katie. First and foremost, just tell us a little bit about what you do, how you empower people to use their voice, and then we're going to, get some words of wisdom from yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. It's just really an honor to be here with both of you, and just two amazing women, inspirational women. So thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, my work is really all about, as you said, voice. I knew from a very young age that singing was a transformational thing for me in my life, and that I wanted to share it with other people as well. And so to that end, I've had all sorts of adventures of song and sound and word and wonder. And I have wandered around the place, sharing music where I can, helping people to find their voices and to find their voices in the fullest sense. That might be, for some of us, yes, that might be learning how to sing, but for others, it might be learning how to speak in public, which is actually beyond death. It's actually the number one fear that people have, is speaking in public. And that says a lot, I think, about how we can feel inhibited about really sharing who we truly are in the world, and how that doesn't feel safe often. So my job is about really helping people, give people the tools and help people feel safe and feel strong and resilient and confident enough to do that, and to know that you are going to be okay when you take that risk, because it is a risk when we share our voices, that you can't get away from that. There is a risk in sharing anything in this world, but we can support ourselves with fantastic tools and the right people and the right ethos in order to then take those risks and be who we really are. Because the risk of not being who we are is worse, I think, than not living our truth. So we must live from who we really are.
And I'm going to circle back to you in terms of when we're not living who we really are. What can that feel like? So I'll circle back to you in a moment. But Deborah, the lady with the hat. Deborah is known for the different hats she wears, and she has a very unique style. So Deborah, I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about what you do. Oh, you've gone. You've gone.
Am I here now?
Yes, it's hard to see you, but I can see you. We can see your outline anyway. So that's better. We can see you a little bit.
Okay.
Just share a little bit about who is Deborah and what does Deborah do?
Okay, my title is Public Relations Executive, but I just feel that I'm more than that because what I've done is I've taken public relations into the word itself, which means relations. It's building relations through one-on-one, through community, through involvement. And I think it's very important that we all recognize what we bring to the table. And
Yes.
our table is growing. Our table is universal. Our table is global. So I am enjoying this opportunity to feel a global presence with everybody through communications. When I started out in public relations, there was no Google. You couldn't Google it. You had to be a face-on person that enjoyed the energy of others. And I still believe in that. The opportunities that I've had traveling and meeting people across the globe like Esther and Katie Rose, who I just looked up, and I'm feeling your positive presence right now. But the most important thing is that we find that common denominator. You can find that in anybody you meet. And what I call people who are earth disturbers, I get away from them because there's so much positive energy that's out there today. We don't need to feel like we've got to move towards the earth disturbers.
I love that.
So my energy today is to move forward and connect. And we can connect in so many ways today. We can connect visually, orally. We can through Facebook. I've connected with so many people on Facebook. I recently was in Cancun, and I met people from Australia who have texted me and emailed me and said, "Wow, I love your energy. I'd love to connect with you." And I said, "Okay, well, I've got people in Australia you can connect with." But you got to bring that positive energy and perspective into whatever you do. And you do that just by getting up in the morning and breathing and saying, you know what? If there's something that triggers my energy or makes me feel good, makes me happy, whether it's family, whether it's friends, or even just opening a book, but you got to keep that positive energy. And when you feel that it's going in the direction that you don't want it to go into, you got to bring it back to yourself and
Yes.
say, you know what, I am who I am, and I'm not who you are trying to present.
Brilliant.
Something
Love
else.
that. Love that. Oh my gosh, because a couple of weeks ago I got distracted, and I was sort of sidelined, and I can feel the slight stress coming on and then the confusion, and so I had to realign, and I'm very privileged to have you know, at least four key people around me that I can turn to. And one is Katie, who helps me stay centered and who I can be accountable to. And we do that for each other, but also because we are authentically accountable to each other. And authenticity is the bedrock for me. And it's interesting because I was actually going to ask you, Deborah, how do you stay centered? So I'm going to come back to you as I go back to Katie and go back to that question I had asked you, which I'm really trying to remember. And I hope
I've remembered. It's about how does it feel when we don't speak our truth? How does it feel?
and
Well, I think,
stand for authenticity.
yeah, which is what you've just talked about, isn't it? That authenticity of having people in your life you can really be who you are with is really, really important. And sometimes we really have to travel to find those people. They might not always be in our immediate environment or maybe where we grew up. So sometimes we have to go on a journey to find where we can feel most. But mostly, the most important thing is being ourselves to ourselves. It has to start inside. And it's that relationship with ourselves, which, as Deborah says, we can have disturbance, people that have disturbed us or for whatever reasons in their background, or maybe just their own conditioning, we come up against people or environments where we are disturbed and we're not allowed. We feel we might encounter some form of oppression of some kind where we're not allowed, we don't feel allowed to be who we are in our fullest. And then we do the work. We do the work of going, I am going to stand tall in who I really am. And we find the tools and we find the people and we find the environments where that is possible, and we expand from there. Because, it's not about saying, oh, I can only be me when the circumstances are perfect, because life isn't like that, let's face it. So really it's about, how can I hold my truth? How can I hold who I really, really am? And that's a moment to moment process, and it's not like the truth isn't a monolith. It isn't like this out there thing that we have to get right. It's actually about living who we are in each moment and being truthful to that, and then allowing that, which means, of course, we're always changing, we're dynamic, we're evolving creatures, we're always learning, we're always growing. So it's just about dropping into, because the consequences of not being in our truth, which is what you asked me, is we feel constricted, we feel oppressed, we feel held down, we start getting things in our body, people getting stress responses and headaches, and all sorts of things can start happening when we're not speaking our truth. And I hear so many stories of people that have the opposite as soon as they start finding their truth, finding their voice. And that might be as simple as just, starting singing in the shower or in the car along to the radio, but just having a moment every day, like Deborah was saying, tuning in the moment in the morning to what really wakens you up, makes you feel good and fizzy in the morning, and getting into that. And if that can involve your voice in some way, just opening up your voice and having a yawn or a sing or a sigh, that's going to start you feeling connected to this incredible instrument that we have inside. Because as soon as we connect with that, it will unleash power for us. It will unleash our truth. And I have people that come to sing in choir, but they find all these other benefits in their lives. They start feeling more confident. They start speaking up in life. They start feeling more self-expressed in other areas of life. So it's not just about coming to learn some songs.
Excellent. And, I've been to a couple of Katie's, I would say, productions, and she has this incredible way of really engaging, not just for herself, but for others. You can see that spirit in that moment of her fully engaging, but also what she's doing. Oh, this is the way I see it, Katie. It's almost like she's ushering people to, stand in your power, stand in your truth, and to release yourself in that moment. And it's quite incredible to watch. And so we might have to have a little sing song before the end of this show. You never know.
The best we can, given that Zoom doesn't let us sing together very well, but we'll do what we can. Yes, for sure.
And what I see Katie has found her voice. She's found her talent, and we all have a talent. Sometimes it takes other people to help us to recognize our talent. And when Katie has those moments of, oh, I'm bringing out my talent, I'm sure you don't release that talent to others until you've released it to yourself. As an artist, as a writer. And sometimes we wait ages to discover where our talents lie. And for me, everybody in my family was an accomplished musician or vocalist. I was neither, but I love to write, and I would express myself through writing. Some people express themselves through cooking or a recipe, or what do you do when those stress modes come in? How do you handle it? And sometimes it's like in the moment. It may take a week or a day to realize what triggered your being off the beaten path. But at the same time, if you wake up every day and recognize your talent, sometimes it's just a talent in recognizing other people's talent. And that's what I think I'm best at, is I recognize when someone has a talent, whether it's fulfilled or unfulfilled, or that talent has to be put out to the universe. And that's what I love. It's nothing more fulfilling to me than to see or recognize someone with a beautiful voice or great writing skill or a great musician or just someone who's out doing community work. Talents are there. We just have to first recognize what our talent is, and then we can share our talent with others. And I think that's what I feel like 2024 is going to allow me to share more of the talent that I have in recognizing others.
Absolutely. But in that in itself, Deborah, is quite potent and powerful because you are standing in your authentic space. The reality is there's a lot of people out there that won't do that sharing because, they're so, whatever it is, they're so hung up in a certain place in the ego where it's about destroying, or it's about, call them earth disturbers. But as you're speaking, it shows your sense of authenticity in terms of there's enough for all of us. And I can be in a place strong enough within myself to see this in somebody else and reach out, because I've been around you. Like I said, I was in the States a few months ago and you saw this and you'd got to people and you're like, here's my card, take this, I can help you. Here's my card. And oftentimes that doesn't happen. So that says something about who you are at your core. And that is a very powerful place to be within who you are. Getting a bit philosophical here, peeps. Just hold in there with me, hold in there. Especially in the industry that you're in as well, to be able to give that or gift that easily and authentically, there's kudos in there for you. What do you think, Katie?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly generous. It's an incredible gift to be able to spot people's talent, and not just to spot it, because we know that, it's sometimes, sadly, in the world, people spot a talent and they either exploit it or they try to dumb it down. But you do neither of those things. You're not doing anything like that. You're doing an incredible act of service to the world, because I think you understand that, I personally believe that whatever is given to us, whatever talent I have is part of a bigger thing. It's not just, it's about a creativity that's in all of us. As you say, some people express it through cookery, some people express it through gardening or writing or music. Mine happens to be voice, but that for me is part of that. Creativity connects me with all the creativity in the whole universe, and so when we're in service to that, and when we help other people bring that out, I believe that's service to the whole universe, because the more that we're all in touch with that and the more that comes out, the better our world will be, because we'll have more people being happy and fulfilled and doing what they really love and what they're really here to do. And the world will be a purposeful, happier place. That's my big take on it. And Deborah, you're playing an incredible role there in terms of saying, I see you, I recognize you, I see your talent, and I'm helping you make that come tangibly real into the world. And that's an incredible gift. It's very, very, very generous, and I can tell that you hold that with a level of respect and honoring of people that's really has a lot of integrity to it. So that's very important. Thank you.
And
well, working at I'm sorry, Esther, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but having worked at Paramount Studios, I met so many actors and actresses who had great gaps of time. And during those gaps, I would run around and say, oh, you're not filming, you're not making speeches, you're not whatever. Can you come and help out with the children's cause or a pet foundation? And that was their way of keeping and holding their sanity. Because as you know, in the world of entertainment, you have your ups and downs and ins and outs, and what you do between those times really does help to keep you moving forward in that space of who am I? And I have recognized so many people whose headlines will never be they were a great actor, but more than that, they were very much involved in people and activities. And for that, I have so much respect for so many of the people in entertainment who have taken that time to use it instead of substance abuse, instead of, having this day-to-day trauma. They take that energy and they put it into a purpose-driven life in terms of fundraising and charity. So I really appreciate that. And I think that's very important, that to those, as they say, where much is given, much should be given back.
Yes, absolutely. That's brilliant, brilliant. And I guess what I'd like to now ask you ladies is we've talked about different things in terms of self, authenticity, standing in our truth. So I'm now going to ask you for some tools and tips that you can share with people. I mean, we've shared it briefly in terms of getting up and being grateful and, but can you just sort of delve further into some of the tools and tips that you can give to people that they can walk away with? I mean, for me, one of the key things is to surround yourself or find people around you, maybe one or two who you can be accountable to, who you can trust with your stuff. Um, and I know for me personally, when I wake up, exercise has been a place that's exercise and music, and because even now I run, I walk, I've got a regime, and that helps me stay sane. That helps me stay centered, as well as having some key people around me, and also for me having the need to be consciously aware that I want to evolve. I want to evolve. So, what are your tools and techniques that you'd like to offer people? So, I'm going to start with Katie again.
Thank you. Well, I think it's very important to find an authentic practice. Okay, so it's really about not doing what you think you should do, because sometimes we have ideas or things that we think I should be doing X, Y, Z. It's really again about truth. So it's right, what calls you? And if it is going roller skating in the park, then that's the thing to do. Do you know what I mean? What calls you? What really gives you joy? And to really dig deep into that. And sometimes it's not always what we expect. I mean, I can tell you what my own personal practices are that I've evolved in terms of, but I would just recommend that everyone finds their own, their own particular unique thing, because that's what we're here to do. And what fills you up is often the thing that you're here to share as well. So for me, I'm with you, Esther. For me, breathing first, breathing exercises. If you want to do anything with your voice, of course, you've got to breathe. We have to live to
Isn't
breathe.
it?
You can't do anything without breath, and particularly the voice rides on the breath. So anything we can do to regulate our breath cycle, just taking 3 deep, long, soft breaths and getting our breath cycle to elongate and expand, is an immediate thing that we can do to de-stress ourselves, to regulate our whole system, and to support our voice. So that's, for me, breathing. And there are lots of wonderful ways into that. If anyone practices yoga or Pilates, we know that breath in the core of our body, we can go and learn that in through those practices are very advanced in helping us understand that. So I personally have a very simple yoga practice that I have in the morning, which, holds me to that. And also, as you said, exercise. For me, I like running and I like being outside. So, but for other people, it might be going to the gym or it might be walking. But, finding a way of moving your body that is pleasurable and that is and allows you to feel embodied in the world, and strong and vital, and have that vital energy. Taking care of diet as well, eating well, feeding your body well, nourishing your body, in a way that you love yourself, and it's really about acts of self-love for yourself. And we're often conditioned away from that. We're often conditioned to think that's somehow selfish. It isn't, because the more you give yourself, the fuller a cup you have to give from. So I always have time in the morning before I go out into the world to do some of these things I've mentioned, and to write, and then to warm up my voice, and to do my practices. And I think before we hit the streets, it is good, even if it's just 3 long, deep breaths with yourself, if that's all we can do because house is very busy or whatever, but just having a moment to check in before you go out to everyone else. Feed yourself first, and then you can give from a full cup. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Deborah.
No, I absolutely love that. And I believe that a sense of humor is what keeps me grounded. I always find something to laugh about. And when I go to bed at night, if I have not determined a solution, I take it off the table. I'm also a prayer warrior. if it's important enough to take it to my God, it's important. But I'm not going to take something to him that says, oh, there's chewing gum on the table and I don't know how to get it off. If it's not important enough to take to God, it's not important enough for me to keep it on my table and on my mantle. So I love going to bed at night feeling that I have done something that has empowered me, made me feel better, knowing that I can wake up to a project, a goal, or making a telephone call to a good friend. There's always something positive tomorrow. And if you look at tomorrow with the sun coming up, and if you see a sunset, a sunrise and a sunset, that is the beauty of life. And those are things that are free. So if you are worrying about funding, jobs, opportunity, family, or whatever, you know that the sun is going to rise and set no matter what. And I give that up to a higher power, and I laugh and say, oh, you gave me another day to get right. Thank you, God. And that's how I live.
Yeah, and it's interesting. That's beautiful. I mean, both what you've shared, but what you've both shared. Put your teeth back in it, sir. What you've both shared was, all equally wonderful. And I know when Deborah talked about laughing, like I said, when I was there a few months ago, we giggled so bad. Sometimes, Deborah, stop it, stop. We just had those moments. We giggled, we walked, and it was just nice to have a fellow backpacker because, I'm a Dr. Martin girl with my backpack. And even in London, Katie's my backpack. And we put on our backpacks and we walk and we talk, and we explore wherever we're at and be open to exploring as well. And, coming out of your box, and sometimes we may think, oh, can't go into those environments or that's not for us. Well, who says, and if that's the way you feel, break the mold, break the narrative, because everything is out there for you. And you'd be surprised that the more that we expand into all these incredible situations, it's the more that we gift ourselves in terms of adding to who we are. It doesn't mean that it's going to take away from us. All these experiences just add to who we are. And so, ladies, this has been a great conversation. Like I said, I'm probably going to do this to the end of January, just giving people moments of inspiration, giving people different perspectives of inspiration from different people, from different backgrounds, different cultures, just to say, wherever you're at, whoever you're able to resonate with, throughout these interviews, then take it away. And if people want to contact you as well, they may want to contact you for a session or just to find out more. What's your contactable? Katie.
You can find me at therosewindow.org. That's the rose, like the flower, and then window, like you look through.org, and that's where you can find out about me. And I'd love to encourage us, just because we're at the beginning of the year, to do what you were saying, Esther, about thinking expansively, we have a new year, and we get this opportunity, and we get the same opportunity every day. As Deborah said, the sun rises, the sun sets. So we have this opportunity to think expansively at the beginning of a new year. And so to do that blue sky thinking and to think out of the box and to think, what would be amazing for me in 2024? What would that look like? What would look like really me being really in my truth, really being expressed who I really am? And what do I need to do to make that happen? Do I need to give Deborah a call or Esther a call? Or, do I need to, what is it that I want to do? And what is it I need to be or embody within myself to bring those amazing visions and dreams into reality? And that's what I would wish for everyone this year, that all those beautiful dreams and visions, don't give up on them. They're all just, ready to be brought into reality.
And tap into the child. Don't forget to tap into the child. I watch a lot of when I need some downtime, I watch a lot of kids programs or teenage programs, about magic and all this stuff. And it keeps the child in me alive because I always want to be a superhero. And I want to get I've been telling people for the longest time, I want to get a cape. I'm going to do that this year. And last year for Christmas, I wanted to be an elf. I was so distressed I couldn't be an elf, but my granddaughters and Katie was the first person 2 years ago. We were having this serious conversation. Then all of a sudden I said to her, I want to be an elf. And she was like, oh, where did that come from? She goes, yes, Esther. If you want to be an elf, Esther, go be an elf.
Humor is so important. Humor is so important.
So important.
So Deborah, over to you as well. Where can people find you, and what other piece of information can you offer?
Well, they can Google Deborah Hayter, or they can go to Facebook or LinkedIn. But I always look for an opportunity to promote, and I hardly think I'm self-promoting, but just remember what it takes to make a film, any kind of film, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a drama, a comedy, or whatever. It takes a writer, a producer, a director, someone who scores music, someone who writes music, a singer, someone to cook while the cast is working. We need drivers. It takes a village to make one film. And I tell anybody, if you really want to get into the entertainment industry or the film industry and you're an accountant, we need accountants. We need attorneys to write the contracts. We need a good technical director. So all of those encompass the industry. And that's what I love about the industry, because it's given me an opportunity to meet people like you, Esther, and you, Katie. And I met a guy who had a boat a couple of years ago, and I said, oh, we might be able to use you for a film. We ended up using him. So just remember that.
Can you use an elf?
We could always use an elf. we need great mascots. But the point I'm making is that when you bring all of these people together and you create one good product, that's exciting. Mm-hmm. And right now, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I just went to a big event for what was the Emmys, the pre-Emmy Awards, and I got to meet actors and actresses who had been in the industry 30, 40, 50 years, 54 years, two of the daytime dramas, 54 years. And they still love what they do. And they love it because they found their niche and they never left it. And there are times when we want to give up and say, okay, I'm going to go get a daytime job because this didn't happen today. But if you believe it and dream it, it will happen. You just have to keep on keeping on and be international and universal if you can. Like you, Esther, you're communicating with people all over the world, and Katie's music can go all over the world. So, let's think in terms of like international and global. That's what I emphasize, because if you get, and I'm just using an example because I do teach, 0.1% of Bad Bunny's money would give you $500,000. Okay, 0.1%. That's globally. If 0.1% of the listeners were listening to your music, that's how much money you would get. Because Bad Bunny has 2 billion followers right now. And that's how much his entertainment attorney makes on one contract. So, the reality of it is it's going to take money to keep us going. But if we do what we love, you can make money and enjoy your life at the same time. But money is important in this industry, so we got to keep that in focus as well, Esther. We hardly ever talk about that, but we can do well financially in
Yeah.
this industry if we keep at it. So
Yeah.
keep on trucking.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. This has been another incredible conversation. I love having conversations like this because it empowers each and every one of us, but it empowers those who are listening. And that's, why I do what I do. Um, and in winding down, ladies and gents, do keep an eye on what's happening at Esther Austin Global. Deborah will be coming to London later down this year. She'll be hosting some workshops around writing. Can you just share a little bit about those workshops, Deborah? And you can keep an eye at Esther Austin Global because we'll be pushing that out. So just give us an insight. Let's dangle the carrot a little bit, Deborah. In terms of
Oh, okay. Well, very quickly, I'll just give you just an overview of what we plan to do. So many people have great books out, they haven't been exposed, and they go out and they self-publish and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars self-promoting, and it's taking so much of their time away from their creative energy. So what I've done is I have put together a seminar on publishing, how to get an agent, how to get a publisher, how to get a distributor, and really how to put all those things together and you're using your creativity, and you let the publishing companies and the agent do the work for you, and a manager. And my seminar will talk about how to get that, how to put the structure together, and how to move forward with your career. Because what you want to do is you want to be creative. You don't want to be out here trying to sell and create at the same time, because one is going to kind of not, it's going to clash eventually. And why not give that to the powers that be? So
brilliant.
that's really what's all about, and I'm excited to bring that to the UK.
Fantastic, fantastic. And this times things really, really nicely now. We've just got 2 minutes left. So, ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. And I may just pop up to somebody else next week. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. Hope you've taken away something for it. And, the main ethos of these conversations is just to encourage you to step into your truth, step into your imagination, step into that world where you become who you want to be and you do who you want to be. It's not always easy. It's not always easy, but it's possible. And I'd like to say a huge thank you to Katie. Thank you, Katie, my sister from another mother. And I'd like to say thank you to Deborah, my sister from another mother. And yeah, let's all keep rocking. And we have to be the change as well. And I'm very conscious of that. Let's be the change that we want to see, not only in the world, but in our lives. So thank you, ladies. And looking forward to having more conversations later down.
Well, thank you, Esther, and I am so excited for the direction that your career is taking. You came to the United States and you moved like blockbusters. I haven't seen this happen, and I've been in the industry for a long time. And I said, now, how did she come in? And in the short time that you were here, you were able to establish and cement your relationships here. Congratulations. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I'm just driven, and it's driven by passion. And that's what we all have within us. So follow your dreams, follow your passion. And wishing you all an incredible year. You can reach out to any one of us at any time. And like I said, if you go on to just keep following Esther Austin Global, because also on the last Wednesday of every month, I'm bringing back On the Sofa with Esther, Men Supporting Men, an incredible show where we have this one is specific for Black men, where they share their vulnerabilities and they find solutions. So that's going to be on the last Wednesday of every month. On every Sunday at 8 o'clock GMT, 3 p.m. EST, and 12 o'clock PST. It's my legends and pioneers from the music industry, where I'll be talking, all wonderful things about what they're doing, but also where they share authentically about who they are. So on that note, wish you all well, and thank you so much, ladies. Have a
Thank you,
fantastic.
Esther. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Frames worn by Esther Austin on the show today were sponsored by Run It First.